President Bola Tinubu has presided over his first inaugural meeting of the Federal Executive Council. The meeting started around 12 noon in the council chamber of the State House in Abuja. In a brief remark at the beginning of the meeting, the president charged the ministers on performance, stating that his cabinet cannot afford to fail Nigerians. Those in attendance included Vice President Kashim Shettima, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Head of Service, Federation National Security Advisor, Chief of Staff to the President, and all the ministers. Recall that after confirmation of the appointment of the 45 ministers by the Senate, they were sworn in by the President on August 21. And elsewhere, President Tinubu has instructed the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to halt the visa processing for government officials planning to travel to the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, in New York, unless they can provide evidence of their direct participation in the event. In a statement issued on Monday by his spokesperson, Ajuri Ngelale, it was explained that this directive is part of a broader strategy to cut down on the expenses of governance in Nigeria. To prevent any misuse of this directive, the U.S. mission in Nigeria has been informed about the proper procedure for processing official visas. Additionally, Nigeria's permanent mission in New York has received instructions to only allow the accreditation of government officials who are listed on the protocol roster provided by the approving authority. According to Ngelale, the President's directive mandates all federal ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure that the officials approved to attend the UNGA reduce the number of assistants and support staff accompanying them to the event. He further said that any instances of excesses or irregularities in this regard will be rectified during the final verification process. The President emphasized that from now on, the behavior of government officials and government spending should mirror the prudence and sacrifices being made by responsible citizens across the country. And tonight on our program, we are joined by Senator Iregbu, the editor-in-chief of Global Sentinel. We also have Dakore Ikpendu, the chief executive officer at Public Intel Security Africa. They both convened a conversation called the Geopolitics Series, which brought together experts and thought leaders to dissect Africa's challenges in harnessing its vast resources for sustainable development. The conversation has been on the front burner for quite a while. However, the continent is unfortunately plagued by a myriad of issues ranging from insecurity, political instability, and insurrections, among others. Today's program will, however, focus on how the continent can get it right in spite of all the odds. And welcome to the program, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
We're happy having you in our studio.
I'm happy to be here too. Thank you very much.
And viewers, this is Daily Politics, in which we discuss politics, policy, and governance. And I'm your host, Hamza Idris. We'll take a short break, and when we return, the conversation commences. Don't go away. Yes, Lady Dakore, when we put the first tidbit, I saw you smiling, you know. What is your take? The first, you know, it was the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting, you know, by the President, you know, service chiefs, you're primarily of the government there.
Okay, good one. I would commend the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his wisdom, you know, in handling. A lot of people have been complaining about the large resources sent to some government officials, but right now he's trying to, you know, cut down their expenses, which is just a bravo to me. If you ask me, most people who go for such events, they don't even, I beg your pardon, but then they don't even have much role they would play.
Yeah.
And then again, what are the aides doing with them, you know? So it's a good thing if they can actually reduce some of their financial spends or money spent. You know?
Yeah. You see, Dr. Kore actually discussing the second tidbit, which is the hunger visit, right? Okay. And of course, the attention of Nigerians is on that. Even here at home, here, that is what we are discussing. Yes. Nigeria always has the largest delegation. I don't know whether it is because we are the largest black country in the world, Senator.
So
going to New York, every other person, maybe from any, I don't want to call any ministry, but sometimes you wonder what actually takes them there.
Yes, I will start from the first inaugural fake meeting.
Okay, fine.
I can notice from their countenance, they are so merry, hyper, and giggling. Yes, it's good to some of them. There's this air of we belong.
We have arrived.
We have arrived. So I'm not sure they already know the urgency of the time, of the matter, the seriousness of what their job entails. They're allowed to feel free to be happy.
But not they know me all the time.
Yes,
but this is the first one.
This is the first one. But they should know after now that the Nigerians are not smiling. That the people they are supposed to serve, supposed to superintend their needs, are not smiling. So they should know that their jobs are well cut out for them. Therefore, the hunger, I will align with what Dakore said. So it's just also aligned to what I'm saying, that people are not smiling, and there are a lot of work that is needed to be done to stabilize the economy. And one of the ways is cutting down the cost. But I hope this is not just a tokenism. A symbolism, just to make an announcement, say, okay, they are cutting costs going to hunger. What of other things? They are siren, the number of aides they have, so many things. The cost of governance among the government officials are over-bloated. So they need to, maybe this should be an entry point.
Yeah, for them. Even the cabinet is the largest we have.
Yes.
Meaning our expectations should be higher, right?
Yes.
So where should they start now with all the problems in Nigeria? Because some people were expecting that during the first FEC, these ministers will convince Tinubu to reverse some of these policies, like the fuel subsidy and all that.
Okay, if you ask me, I would like to take the answer a little bit deeper.
Good.
First of all, when a man is handed a position, a platform to take care of, I think the first thing first that comes to any sane person is the duty. So the moment you are obliged or you have been given your duty to really perform, it is expected that you really do it very well. And if you're not doing it very well, then what then are you now doing on that same position? So if I may answer your question very well, I think the first thing first that is expected for some of these cabinet people is to really pay attention to what they're supposed to do to the country, just like Senator had actually highlighted. See, nobody is smiling. I'm not even smiling.
Yeah.
We are not smiling.
But I hope you will smile before the end of this program.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so too. So they need to take into cognizance their functions, their duties, whatever they have been given to do very well. They have to do it absolutely very well. And I really feel President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he knows, just like Senator had said, we hope it is an entry point into other discussions, other aspects that needs to be really cut down on or checked on.
Yeah, we used to have it on Wednesdays. Today, Monday, we have it. Yeah, so it's a very big one. But lastly, before we move into our subject of discussion today, Senator, many Nigerians believe that Buhari did not get it right or could not get it holistically because he didn't employ, carrot and stick, meaning sacking ministers who could not deliver and all that. Do you agree with that? And how should Tinubu reward hard work and then punish those who actually did not deliver their mandate?
Absolutely. Leadership, modern leadership should be hands-on. So that's where Buhari failed. One of the areas he failed, he wasn't a hands-on leader. If you delegate someone to go and do a job, you need to follow up to ensure that that assignment is being done. And if the person did not meet up to your expectation, you've been provided by the Constitution the power to hire and fire.
Yes.
And we are a country of over 200 million people and brilliant minds waiting to be given opportunity to serve. So if someone cannot meet up you appointed someone to deliver an assignment and the person cannot meet up, you have the power to, replace the person and that will put other people on their toes. But what he did was to just appoint people and just go and sleep. Because practically we all live in FCT and everybody is complaining. And that happened to be the longest serving FCT minister.
Wow.
I will tell people, this minister spent 8 years doing less than what someone, maybe Erufai, used 2 years to do.
8 years?
I'm telling you.
And if you put this on a scale?
It's not up to what someone who used 2 years to achieve. Just to tell you how they and it's in this country under Buhari administration. He said he ordered his IGP, Inspector General of Police, to go somewhere, and he didn't go. And Buhari used his mouth to even say it. And he got his ear that you gave as a commander-in-chief of the armed forces to give one of their service chiefs to go, and he didn't go. And you didn't sack him. Not only did that IGP stayed after that instruction, he was attempting to stay beyond his constitutionally man. People have to start writing before the IGP has to go after his tenure resign. So now, what we require this administration to learn from the mistake of Buhari is not there are some areas he got it right, but in this aspect he failed woefully. So he has to be a hands-on leader. He has to monitor, because a lot of things are happening within 24 hours of this era. So you need to monitor and know if someone is not performing, you replace. And bring a better. There are many capable hands that are waiting on the fringe to showcase their talent.
Some are saying that it took him, to finish the 2 months provided by the constitution, because the good hands are so plenty, so he was looking at the paper until the
he should have his reserved, and that's why he's in a team. If you monitor, if
anyone who failed to deliver,
or someone can be even injured along the line. I'm using football or team terminology now. Then you replace. You use your reserve to
so we hope the president will get it right, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians will smile. Now back to the business of the day. Unraveling Africa's paradox. That's what you call, shall I say, a compendium of seminars. So, rich in resources, poor in progress. Dissecting resource mismanagement and global power dynamics in Africa. So there is global power dynamics in Africa.
Exactly.
Now, this seminar you organize, was it prompted by the coup in Niger, or you had plans for it? I'm putting it open. I don't know whether you will start or Dakota should start.
Okay, let me start. She will come in.
All right.
This geopolitics is an idea that is almost a decade now.
Almost a decade?
Yes. In my first degree, I studied international history and international relations, which I did comfortably well. My second, my master's, I did master's in international affairs and diplomacy. Then master's in security, conflict and development. So, and these are areas that look at global issues. Apart from that, as a person, I have flair in trying to understand how the world works. So, but there are some triggers that actually started. That was the Libyan crisis and the NATO intervention. As a journalist, as a defense correspondent, I happen to cover.
Of course, we cover the Boko Haram.
Yes. So I saw how after that intervention, the power that be left, and when the decision, AU, African Union, was just playing a catch-up peripheral role, but the fallout of that intervention, the consequences, will bear the brunt in Nigeria. And I happen to be a survivor of Boko Haram attack in this day.
Yes.
So this is a direct...
in the office.
Yes, in the office. Yes. So after that intervention, a lot of weapons flow from Libya down to Sahel, down to Nigeria. Boko Haram become more deadly.
Yes.
And spread and get upper hand. So, and where was AU? Where was ECOWAS? Where was individual countries in Africa? Where are the policy makers to foretell, to forecast that such things? We are caught napping. So, and so many other things are happening. Second one was the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
So, nobody could tell that this war could cause food crisis, grain crisis, that will affect Africa in terms of food security.
Senator, not to quote you, nobody ever thought that it will last 3 days.
Yes.
We thought it was just one-off thing. Maybe when then everything will be over. Now,
so, and then there was the issue of will there be nuclear weapon and no nuclear weapon, and people talk, how will nuclear weapon affect Africa? You don't know. Okay, apart from that war affected the supply chain, should there be an event of nuclear? What should be Africa's position? Then the immediate trigger was this the Sudanese war between the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, and the SF, Sudanese Armed Forces. So, and guess what? This war was happening in Africa. No serious African countries could tell the contending forces to call them to order. It has to be outside forces again, US and Saudi Arabia, that were brokering ceasefire. So now, before that, I have a platform, Global Sentinel, which is a media platform. To also tell them, Global Sentinel is watch. You know, in the Roman Empire era, there's something they call sentinel. Those people that used to be in the watchtower to watch over, see when
we have it now.
So this one is watching. Yes.
And all that,
So that's to tell you that my idea has then. I've known Dakore for a while, but within the period we eventually started, I met her. Then she has idea that she was trying to share me, and the idea was similar to what I have, and she was sparkling with the ideas. There was so much passion. I said, okay, let this passion I see in this in that not die. I said, okay, I have something like this. Let's even, because one of the challenges I had then was funding. I was thinking of it big.
Yes.
So when I saw her enthusiasm, I said, okay, let's even, because I need someone to even motivate me as well. I said, okay, let's start with low-hanging fruit. Let's start with webinar. We already have been in this space. We already have built contact over time, you know, with people. So that was how, and then there was a African Union assisted the 60th anniversary of African Union. We said, okay, let's use that entry point to actually x-ray. African Union is 60 years, and this Sudanese war is happening, and they are shaking like this. They were acting as if they are confused. Let's even assess their trajectory within these 60 years. Have they been able to live up to the vision of the founding fathers? So that was our first edition, African Union at 60. So we now have key speakers from ECOWAS, the head of mediation and the regional political affairs division, Dr. Onion Wuka. Then we have the chair board of Africa Features and Institute of International Institute for Security in South Africa, Dr. Silas. We have a brilliant geopolitics analyst and expert from Ghana, Fidel Amakpe. And then we have this Dennis Speed. That was how we just to give you
exactly. Now, yes, Dakore, I want you to come in here because you are talking about Africa's stability, right? And then managing its resources. Exactly. You have the even UN, you know, AU, ECOWAS, and all that, but yet quite a number of crises almost everywhere. Looking at the people you brought, you know, I saw Portona. Right? I saw Professor PLO Lumumba, right, from Kenya. I saw Professor Adriana Novanga, quite a number of were they on the same page that we are not getting it right in Africa? Okay,
to start with, that Africa's resources, is it a cause or mismanagement? That was the second the geopolitics series that we had. And that came from a deeper thought of what is actually going on in Africa. We have a lot of resources, but it seemed like it is almost a curse to us because one resource would bring another issue. Yes, Paul Turner had his own opinion, and he was like, can we look into the deeper aspects of how people come up with a problem, and then probably we draft out policies for solution. And that is where we come in. We believe this program would, in one way or the other, drive the thought of African leaders, because we can almost not tell what exactly is actually going wrong. For every resources becomes a pushback to us, or maybe a turn back to us.
Yes, you add to this, because I asked whether all the resource persons, she has spoken on Tona. What about Lumumba?
They have different entry points, but at the end they are agreed. Because what is the agreement? The agreement is that the resources is not rather a cost, but it's an issue of mismanagement. It's more of mismanagement than a cost. So and one of the agreement, because each person took a different dynamics to it. For example, the International Counterterrorism expert, US based, though it's a Cameroonian, but it does a lot of work with Nigerian security institution, David Otto. He was saying that, yes, we've been dwelling so much on issue of resources. Can we even take a clue from resource poor countries but wealthy countries? He gave an example of Rwanda. They have no resources, but they are managing efficiently, even arising from devastating war. Then they give example of other non-African countries that are successful, but without resources, they are not dependent on resources. Then what is his main point? That instead of dwelling too much on natural resources, why not develop human resources? Because it is human resources that will manage efficiently. Because if you don't develop the human resources, they can't be able to manage natural, no matter how you have it. Because it's those that have a developed critical mass of human resources that will come and be exploiting you, that don't even know what you have. That's for David Otto. Then for Paul Turner, he believed that there's a shift in global power dynamics, and Africa, with the resources they have, is at an advantageous position. If they know their role, they can take advantage of it and maximize this influence among the competing powers to their own advantage. So then for Lumumba was of the opinion that it's the connivance of the elites with the global powers that are responsible for such exploitation of natural resources, that they negotiate it selfishly, not in the interest of the larger interest, for the benefit of the country, but for their own personal, and they end up exploiting the states, enriching their private pocket and the countries where those companies or this thing that are represented. Then for Professor Adriano, his own was, he looked at from the angle of the youth. That Africa is one of the continents that have the benefit of having growing youthful population. And what is youth? Youth is creativity, is energy. But it's a two-edged sword. Because they are vibrant with energy. If you don't creatively engage them, they can channel that energy to negativity.
We have the Yahoo,
So because of too much population and the youth are suppressed, they don't have a venue to express themselves, even in political participation, economic participation, that this youth bulge could boomerang. So in order to utilize this human resource well, we need to pay attention to the youth bulge. These are the end.
From your findings, some of these crises bedeviling us, giving us instability, is it actually self-inflicted, or there are some people from without that are instigating some of these crises? Because so many theories.
Oh, well, if you ask me, speaking as a journalist, I would say it's a two-way thing. Just like Senator had actually given a wrap-up thought of what most of the guests said during the last webinar. Most of the faults we have comes from the leaders. And secondly, most of the fault also comes from us.
We, the followers.
Yes. But the greater part of it comes from the leaders, because like you rightly said, or you asked, I beg your pardon, during the first time, what are these leaders meant to do? They're meant to do the right things. But then again, you find out that some of them, they exploit us in their names. So I would say some of the problems comes from the leaders and a little part from the people.
Yes, and I saw from the ESAP that your series dissected resource mismanagement and global power dynamics in Africa. What is that dynamic? What is the global power dynamics in Africa, which is actually, is it instigating the instability, or diverting our attention not to concentrate on what to do with our resources?
Okay, global power dynamics there's historical part of it, there's a current part of it. It has been throughout history in African engagement with international world order. Okay. From the beginning when they came with unequal trading, imperialist trading, from there to slave trading, and then colonialism. So, and this is how Africa was introduced into global world order. And most of these world powers are playing each other against themselves. So, but European powers then, like we have world powers now, think of it, look, instead of trying to fight off ourselves over Africa, why not let us even have conference and try to see how we share this Africa space of influence. That was where they have petition, scramble and petition for Africa, and Berlin conference in 1886, where they say, okay, Germany, where you are having influence, carve that for yourself. Britain, where you're having that influence, carve France, and that was how they carve various influence for themselves and playing off each other. After that, there was decolonization, and there are still fringes of neocolonialism going on. You mentioned the issue of Niger coup. It's still playing out now. But the difference now is that there are new powers, there are new players.
Like Russia.
Like China, like Russia, like other middle powers, like Turkey that is also emerging, Qatar that is using its oil, flexing its muscle, UAE. They all having various influence in Africa. China is there. Each come with their different strategy. China may not come and say, oh, use bombs, but they have, like now we have millions of Chinese in Africa. In fact, China can form 2 countries or 3 comfortably in Africa. The Chinese population that are here, they are all over mining. All these illegal minings and all these things, you can be traced to them and the conflict that are going on. So like in Niger now, you've seen the issue, France, from the colonial heritage, they have a lot, some agreement that tie, like in all the Francophone. If actually I say, why is the coup happening in all the Francophone countries?
Exactly, that's the big question.
So you have the CFA franc, that is tied, the monetary policy, the fiscal of this are tied to French treasury.
Exactly.
The uranium, the natural resources that are within this the French are the first refusal buyers. Then there's uranium. That is global. They used to make atomic bomb, nuclear powers and all these things that France had leverage in Niger. Then the US base, drone base, that they used to monitor their counter-terrorism operation in Africa is headquarters in Niger. Wow. Then Russia is using Wagner and trying to penetrate Africa. Why China is busy buying up using loan, debt to have farm route. In fact, their pores are economically included. In fact, they are holding Africa in a juggler, economically and commercially. Then US using their own military, Europe using their own historical leverage. Russia have looked at, okay, how do we enter? Then they use conflict. Wagner is in Central African Republic.
Is it an allegation or you think this is what is really happening?
I'm just giving on research.
Wow.
Because Wagner, who is Wagner? Wagner, the Prigozhin, just that is a friend to Vladimir, even though the Russia state law doesn't recognize this thing. So, but their presence is in Mali, their presence in Central African Republic. There's also allegation that they have a lot to say or do in the conflict in Sudan and then in Burkina Faso. So you see all this playing out, and that's why is this global power dynamics we are talking about. Then there's this road and belt initiative of China, where they are using this this initiative, infrastructure development, to put some African allegedly, but that's how it looks, to put them in perpetual debt. So as all these are playing, the G7, I think last year or last 2 years, proposed their own counter infrastructure project. So there are a lot of scrambling, another scrambling and petition of Africa
if I get
going
you,
on.
it's like we are getting entrapped once again.
Yes,
All right,
and what are we? And we are just watching.
Oh yeah, okay. I will ask that question whether there is something we can do, but we'll take a short break. Yes,
Okay.
viewers, we'll be back shortly after this break.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Do well to follow the conversation across our social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and watch us live on YouTube. Still have in the studio Dakore Ipendu, co-convener Geopolitics Series and CEO of Public Intel Security Africa. Welcome back. And Senator Iregbu, convener Geopolitics Series and editor-in-chief Global Sentinel. I got frightened the way he gave vivid picture of how another scramble. We scramble for Africa while in secondary school. It's like now another scramble is setting in. Where are the African leaders? We have the Tinubus, we have the Bazooms in Niger, even though he has been quite all the presidents, and heads of state of Africa. What role are they playing?
Okay, as much as it saddles us to talk about this, the truth is, I think if you ask any sane youth on the streets, anyone who knows history, he or she would tell you that, look, the claws of these actors, the global actors, is still on Africa, and we are still experiencing neocolonialism. And I'll tell you a story. Last year, I had some guests on my show. Do not forget, I am a broadcast journalist.
Yes, I know.
Yes. Okay, so I had some guests on my show, and we were going to talk about the October 1st. Of course, everyone likes to talk about October 1st, what we are getting along and all of that. And he is a retired military personnel, and he said, Akari, I'm not going to talk about it.
What? You will not talk about it?
Yes, we're still backward because we are still experiencing the neocolonialism.
So there is nothing like independence?
There's nothing like independence. And he went for that, and he talked about neocolonialism on economic, the economic factor and all of that. And if you think deep very well, we are still experiencing this. And he rightly asked, what would this leader bring on board? I would plead with any leader watching this to at least make sure that the resources of Nigeria, even if not for other African countries, is safer. Because you find out these Chinese people, like Senator had actually put in right words, they come into Africa, they harness it, they take it out. And what is that thing that we are not doing right? Is it to have a factory? Is it to have people who have studied in this set of subjects to make sure that these factories are functioning? The answer is we are not lacking behind, we Africans. We have these people here, but why are we not taking this into cognizance?
Yeah, one of our directors, actually, a few days ago, he sent me something.
Okay.
It's a photo of Lebanese, Chinese, and all that coming out of an aircraft. They have landed in Nigeria. And they said, the population, you alluded to that, the population of foreigners in Nigeria now, if we are to take roll call, all of us will be shocked. So why are they coming, and why are we jabbering? Yeah, we are jabbering. We had a story a few days ago. Many Nigerians stranded in UK.
True.
Skilled Nigerians.
Yes.
After paying thousands of pounds to find their way out, because some discounted their buildings, their cars, they leave their jobs and all that. Why are these people coming here, and who is giving them visa?
So that's where you talked about leadership. You mentioned what are the leaders do. This is where leadership comes in, and this is where we need patriotic leaders who will not sell. I told you how when I was telling you where PLO Lumumba, he was telling that is African leaders selling out.
Yes.
You know, negotiating our resources.
Is it to attract protection so that they will not be removed by the military?
I think it's out of selfishness.
It's out of selfishness. Yes. It's out of selfishness because these foreigners cannot come in without some powerful figures within the system protecting them. So they are closer to the system and the powers than ordinary Nigeria who are jackbarring. Because those people are the periphery. They are frustrated. They are outside the system. And this system we are talking about are just few. And because these few powerful people are not, they're only loyal to their money, their power, not to the state, not patriotic about the progress. They are not thinking, but those ones coming are also not only are they loyal to the foreigner, they're also loyal to their home government.
True.
So, and these people, so the environment is ripe for, tell me, why is it that our mining system is not well developed?
Yes. And now we have like 3 ministries or 2 ministries around that.
Yes.
We have the solid minerals and we have still development.
I want to believe that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu must have taken this into cognizance for actually establishing that ministry.
But will they harness them? Because if you go to Taraba, Taraba now, you see hundreds, if not thousands, of these Chinese, Lebanese, Indians, and all that. And they are removing this in only settling local champions. I mean, traditional rulers. And then some people from Ministry of Solid Minerals. And then you see that there are conflicts around all those areas.
Whose
fault is this?
If you ask me, let me just say a little thing about myself. About 12 years back, my dad was actually into mining.
Okay.
And then I'm going to appreciate the bill that was signed regarding local inclusion of people, just in case when foreigners come, we have the local.
There must be local content,
local content and all of that. It's very good. But then again, even if it gives a power to one director to be in Nigeria and to oversee things, trust me, most directors of such do not even have such power and leverage over the foreigners like they would in their country. Do you understand? It's a different ball game entirely. I received some Chinese people who was going to do some business and they were talking about getting some mineral resources. At first I rejected because I know them quite well. Do you understand? But then again, I felt, okay, let's just give this person a benefit of doubt. She was coming from a different country and she's a professor. She's a House of Rep member in the country where she was coming from. But that does not eliminate what they are. It doesn't even stop them from doing what they know how to do best. They rip off. Yes, they rip off. And the thing is, how I wish the Nigerian leaders can protect our resources. Let it not be a curse. Like we rightly said on geopolitics, it's a cause of mismanagement. I would rather say if they can manage these resources very well by establishing more factories, having local content take over these, we would not have any reason why foreigners would come, exploit us, exploit our leaders, and we have the next generation to suffer for it.
All right, Senator, there is no state in Nigeria that does not have one mineral or the other.
True.
And I think that was how we arrived at 36 states now, and the federal. Because when they are writing to the military, then you have to explain why you think if you are given statehood, you will take care of yourself. And they convincingly submit papers, memorandum and all that. And when you look at it, they are verifiable. But at the end of the day, they wait for federal allocation. Zamfara, Taraba, Nasarawa, Kaduna, name it.
And these are states that is mineral rich.
Very rich.
Very rich.
Then is there a nexus between their rich mineral or solid mineral or liquid or whatever? Is there any nexus between this and the instability?
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. There's a nexus because that's the point of the fragility of Africa as a whole, then the component states is tied to all this.
And that's why I narrowed it to Nigeria.
Because the more fragile those states are, the more this foreign power and their local backers, the more they get. Instead of those the earnings going to the states, it goes to the private pockets.
Yes.
So, and even they create. It will surprise you. Forget all this. You are saying farmer had a conflict. All these things. It will surprise you that the source of all those conflicts are resource conflicts. If you dig deeper, so you find out that all the. In fact, it happened even. There's something that is called blood diamond in Sierra Leone, in Liberia. You know, conflict driven by.
They instigated the conflict.
Yes,
in order to divert attention.
Yeah, because if Africa is stable, if the country is stable, first of all, you will be able to have more leverage. Your system will be strong enough to prevent all these loopholes. If you check, because that's why sometimes I don't want to be too hard on Tinubu and ECOWAS. Because you need to play some role within your sub-region. If not, outside powers will come and dominate. And people already talking, Russia is coming. Why will you want to? For Russia will fight you. Wagner is there. France is there. If you notice that when Nigeria was relatively stable, Nigeria was playing that role. Was in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. But since we started having conflict, the Boko Haram issue, then all our resources, all our energy came back to internal security operation.
Exactly.
So outside powers are already taking over the hegemonic role. Our hegemonic role within our sub-region is eroding. So, and it's an aberration, because if you check other continent, they have hegemonic powers in each region.
Each of the continents.
That before other outside powers, you take cognizance. Like you come to Indian Ocean, India is there. You come to the Eurasia, Russia is there. You come to Far East, China and Japan are there. You come to Oceania, Australia is there. Then you come to Europe, Germany, France and UK are there, playing those hegemonic powers.
Africa, so Nigeria has been decimated.
Nothing. If you come to South Africa, South America, even Brazil and Argentina can give you some thing to think about. But in Africa, Nigeria used to play that role before. Gaddafi's Libya used to play that role before. But over time, due to internal conflict and that power has eroded. And another thing too is we don't have statesmen. We have politicians now. You have leaders who will not respect the constitution. They want to, after their tenure finish, they want to sit tight. Maybe they have 2 tenures before constitution allowed, before they took power. When their 2 tenures want to expire, they want to override the constitution and extend it. That's what happened in Guinea, and the coup is struck.
Wow.
The same thing happened in Mali, and the coup is struck. So our leaders need to begin to become statesmen. Put the state first. Even it nearly happened in Ivory Coast with Alassane Ouattara. He was just lucky, because of the configuration of the state. They already have their civil war, so they don't want another war coup. That's why he escaped his own. But these are things we are talking about. And recently, the Liberian George Weah said, instead of talking of this coup, can we even talk about some of the actions of our leaders that are leading to this coup and instability? Root cause. So you see a lot of youth frustrated, going out, and people are angry. And the system, foreigners will just come, and so we need to begin to look inward. And address our heart, put our hearts in order. So,
Dakor, what should President Tinubu do now? We have, especially, you mentioned, is it Malumba who said we should harness our youths? Or who among
Adriano talk about it. While Lumumba talk about...
So we have them in abundance in Nigeria. But if you go to any how many ministries do we have now? And departments? Everywhere you go, youth submitting their CV, looking for a job. But from China, as I said earlier, from India, from Germany, everywhere their youths are coming here working on our minds. Not for the benefit of Nigeria, because I can't see it. No local government can pay salary on its own. But you see these expatriates mining in all these local government areas and then taking out the resources. What should Tinubu do?
Whatever I'm going to say would be as a result of what you have asked and what he has actually said.
Okay.
Emotions are real, because if you had listened to Professor Adriano Novunga from Mozambique, he is an activist, and he talks so much about the youth. And whatever the youths are pouring out is emotions. They are either voicing out their happiness or their anger. And if they take the anger to the street, that's it.
That's it, yeah.
Then you find out some theory, either they become lone wolf actors or they become whatsoever they want to become, because at that point, like some people on the street of Twitter would say, the poor would one day eat the rich.
Yeah.
These things are happening. These things are real. So I would personally advise the president to take the people's emotion very serious before it escalates. There are a lot of factors that drives down or boils down to either Africa's national security or Nigeria's national security. If I'm treating my show, I take everything into cognizance. Emotion is one of it, because through emotion you can get bullied, you can do whatsoever. So if emotions is being considered, if he has that power to really check out the people's emotion and probably watch what he would do, trust me, he would actually make the leaders sit up. Because the moment the leaders sit up, they are addressing real issues. They are no longer facing their pockets or actually working for their pockets.
Exactly, yeah. Senator, I want to have your take on this. What do we do with our youths amid rising inflation, no jobs, frustration, and all that?
So it's to create
with a fear of ripple effect of what is happening across the region.
Yes, is to create an enabling environment for the youth, because I know you talk about youth taking their CV to government offices. Actually, no, even if government employ the government cannot employ everybody. But once they make the environment to thrive, there is stability, there is security. You know, I remember days you can drive from here to Abuja, from Abuja to Kaduna around 10 p.m. or from here to Lagos or to wherever in the night.
When I was reporting from the northeast, before the advent of Boko Haram, sometime after around 8 p.m. and after closing, probably, so I'm going home.
That's it. So
yes, with your family.
Yeah, with your family. You drive in the midnight.
By 3:30 or 4 a.m.
It's no longer possible, right?
I've been from here midnight from Abuja to Jalingo. In the mid, I entered around, is it 7 p.m. or so, and I arrived there around either 2 a.m. or so, and nobody was afraid. That was then. Nobody was afraid. So we are talking about enabling environment, peace, stability, and security. Then the economic to improve, so that people can, especially the stability of our currency, the inflation need to reduce, because now there's no money. Then when you get the money has no value quickly, like it vanishes immediately. So people are really, trying to survive, and that's why I still feel that government didn't think through the subsidy removal. Removal in itself is not totally bad, but do you put some measures in place?
Up to now, they are battling with.
They're still battling. That's what I'm saying. And this, you're putting the cart before the horse instead of the other way around. So these are measures that have been put in place. And that's why I'm talking about African forecasting. As a leader, you need to forecast. What will happen if I take this action? Like I was in 2020, I was in Chad, in N'Djamena. I went to present a paper for multinational multinational joint task force. And that was the period this NSAS went out wrong. So one of the intelligence called me, security officer called me, say, Senator, please, I need the analysis. How did this happen that we didn't see, nobody saw it? I said you could have seen the sign. Yes, because that time the ASU was on strike. There was COVID-19, that people we are hedged at home under lockdown. People are just looking for where to express it. The youth are at home students were at home due to ASU strike. And then the palliative are supposed to, they were being hoarded. You add 1 + 1 to be able to.
Only journalists who report crisis understand this. Let me have your final word in less than 30 seconds as to how Tinubu, as chairman of ECOWAS, will galvanize forces to restore peace in Africa so that poverty will go out. We should harness our resources.
Just like I would say always, conflict is very much local, crime is local, peace is local. I would advise the president to start with the local government the areas, you know. I think that is all I have to say.
All right, thank you very much, Dakore Ekpendu, co-convener, Geopolitics Series and CEO, Public Intel Security Africa. Thank you for your informed perspective.
Thank you.
We have to have you again. And Senator Iregbu, convener, Geopolitics Series and Editor-in-Chief, Global Sentinel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I enjoyed how you classified or declassified the African continent. I hope our leaders get it right, so that the vast population will also get it right.
Thank you very much.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We sincerely hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. And be sure to join Daily Politics Live, airing every weekday, and also our special package on Friday, during which we open our telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Once again, we thank you for watching. Bye-bye. I'm Hamza Idris.